Hi, I'm Johnny Marques. We all have people we admire, heroes, people we look up to, people we try to emulate. At the All Knowing, we look into people's personality by using different systems such as numerology, astrology, and life charts. A deep dive in a persona, if you will. It is our hope that we can help break down what makes a person, who they are, their traits, their actions, and their possible beliefs, and in doing so, help you understand if you have similar virtues. Thank you for watching and enjoy the show. Hi, welcome back to the All Knowing Experience. I am Johnny Marques, and today we're going to be talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, probably one of the most famous sports figures in the world. A little bit about him: he is originally from Funchal, Madeira, Portugal. He plays for Manchester United right now, and for 2016, 2017, 2018, and 19, I believe. He's one of the highest paid players in the world and the third sports figure to be paid or make $1 billion. So some fun facts about him. He was also noted as being one of the 100 most influential people in the world. And another fun, interesting thing is that he was the youngest children of four, and his mom, because they were so poor and his dad was an alcoholic, was thinking about aborting the child, and the doctor had refused to do so. So he came into the world. So Cristiano Ronaldo, definitely interested in hearing what makes him one of the greatest sports figures of all time. They call him the GOAT in soccer, football, whichever you use. And just would love to hear the details in his chart and everything about him that makes him so noticeable. Joseph.
All right. Thank you so much for the great intro, as always, Johnny.
Great.
He's an amazing human being, one of the most charismatic and powerful athletes who ever lived. Certainly one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid, and one of the most idolized. The man also got, as I recall, 500 million hits on Facebook or followers. So he's popular, and that's typical of Aquarius. People who belong to the sign Aquarius, Sun in Aquarius. I mean, you got Babe Ruth, you got Wayne Gretzky, who reminds me very much of Cristiano. You have Michael Jordan, who is to basketball what Cristiano arguably is to soccer. Both of them are, what's the term, ambidextrous. I almost said bisexual. We don't want to say that. Ambidextrous. So they, as was Babe Ruth, another great Aquarius. Aquarius, is the most successful of all signs. Why? Because they're the most personable and the most intelligent of all the signs. I'm a jealous Virgo saying that with Leo rising. But he has full moon in Leo, Cristiano. And so, he's a magical person because not only is he extremely skilled, but he is extremely personable and charismatic and attractive. He has an ongoing rivalry with Messi, Messi. You recall his name, Johnny? I forget. Messi.
Yeah. Messi. Yeah.
Who impresses me as having more Scorpio energy because he's more dark and intense, and sting you. And that's typical Scorpio versus Aquarius, the guy who's kind of like really down or bajo, and the guy who's like very elevated, like once again, Michael Jordan going up for a high left or right fake, you know, and this is something actually that Cristiano does really well, what they call chops, feints, parries. He'll send you in one direction and hit the goal in the other direction. And so he's really quick. He's not necessarily a rocket scientist in terms of his analytical conceptual abilities, but he's really tactile. In face reading, you can see when you look at him, the lower third of his face is very large compared to the other 2/3. In face reading, the lower third is connected to the physical realm. The middle third is related to the ego. Big people with big noses like me got big egos. And the forehead's related to the intellectual realm. That's my largest one, so you can see how smart I think I am. At any rate, Cristiano, amazing human being. He has Capricorn rising. The rising sign is the sign on the eastern horizon when a person is born, and it rules the physical appearance and the inner psychological nature. So he looks very Capricorn. He looks a bit like Muhammad Ali, who is a Capricorn. And in other words, strong cheekbones, the sign of Capricorn. They're warriors. They can take it on the cheek, and they don't always turn the other cheek. But and also his very strong eyebrows, like you got, Johnny. Look at your eyebrows. Yeah, strong. Yeah, knife edge.
There you go.
Scorpio. Ooh, Scorpio. At any rate, Cristiano has Capricorn rising, so he's a warrior. He's a fighter. Capricorn rules generals and powerful people, determined people. J. Edgar Hoover, Al Capone, Richard Nixon, Joseph Stalin, Howard Hughes. They like to take charge of things. So he also, did a little Capricorn number where he didn't pay like $20 million worth of taxes to the government, Cristiano. And so they fined him 18 million euros. That's way more than we make, huh? Even.
I guess so. Oh.
18 million, that's $18 million, roughly. Okay.
Right.
And, but he took it in stride because he's an Aquarius. They're friendly and fun. Aquarius is air, ice, and water. Air is light and fun, like Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. Ice is tough, like General Douglas MacArthur, Dick Cheney, everybody's favorite Aquarius.
Wow.
And the water is loving, like Charles Dickens, Susan B. Anthony, one of the greatest patriot, humanitarian suffragette, abolitionists. She's very Aquarian, Susan B. Anthony. She forced herself into the voting booth when it was illegal for women to vote, and she forced her ballot in. They arrested her, of course, but she still voted. That's Aquarius for you. Very principled, charming and fun and friendly. We got a lot of stars that are Aquarius. Paul Newman, Jennifer Aniston on Friends. One of the key words, interestingly enough, for Aquarius is friendship. They're all about friendship. They're your best friend. Burt Reynolds, wonderfully friendly people, very popular. So everybody loves Cristiano, even though he can be a bit of a, tough guy with the Capricorn rising. He has gotten into various scrapes with people. He's been accused of being arrogant by the sports critics, who are undoubtedly even more arrogant than he is. But he's actually tough as ice and flexible as air. You never know where he's coming from. Because he'll have to go from the left side or the right side. You don't know where he's going. And he also will work deep to set up the ball for his teammates, because Aquarians are great team players, the best. But he's won 32 trophies for basically just being an all-around superstar. And he's had affairs and marriages with beautiful models, which is kind of par for the course. The guy is incredibly sexy. Okay, I mean, he's a stud. I think any woman who sees him perform all of a sudden likes soccer more than she did before. Will
Are,
follow.
are,
Yeah.
are you saying that Aquarius are super competitive? And
You know, the funny thing about Aquarius, they're not so competitive. What they are is they just love a good game, and they love being with their friends on the pitch, as they call it in soccer. They
right,
love to, they love teamwork. They like to be in charge. Who doesn't? And they tend to get in charge. Why? Because they get elected team captain a lot. They're just really friendly and fun and positive. People really like them. And that's one of the keys to their power. So they're not essentially competitive. They're actually more team oriented, but they won't tolerate mediocrity. They always want to be the best, and they're the smartest, but they don't show off their knowledge like maybe a Leo does or a Virgo does, or a Gemini in particular, always showing off their knowledge, debating you constantly, which we love them for, of course. But Aquarius, see, these are Aquarius marks here. I'm not an Aquarius. I got what's called North Node of the Moon. But you see how these are waves, like clouds, okay? So that's what they do a lot. And they're just, they go back and forth between air and ice. You think they're your best friend, which they are, but I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to, loan you any money if you don't seem likely to pay it back. They'll make an excuse. No, I love to talk to you, but I got to go to the cotillion or to the soccer match.
I think with $1 billion, I think you can loan a few bucks, huh?
Yeah. Well, he has been very generous to charity, particularly children's cancer wards. The man he's a saint in some ways, which is Aquarius. Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol. Tiny Tim, God bless us, everyone. They're the most high-minded. Abraham Lincoln, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Susan B. Anthony, Helen Gurley Brown, all the liberators. And but he's very physical. That lower third shows that right away, and his Capricorn rising, very physical man. He's Mr. Testosterone. I don't think he's ever going to get any accusations that he's really gay. He's just really Mr. Testosterone. The women love him. He's got Venus conjunct Mars and Aries. He's probably had a little more action than Wikipedia will tell you. But he loves models, and he's got 6 children.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's pretty busy on and off the court, shall we say?
Right. He's into. I guess he's into family. I saw an interview.
I'm not so sure. Well, yeah, up to a point, because the lower physicality, Aquarius normally are not. They're into their extended family. They're into their corporation. They're into their friends, their club, their set. In which they're very popular and a natural leader. Although sometimes they will let the more tough, aggressive, Scorpios or Tauruses, they're more grounded, or the Aries take the lead, because then the Aquarius can sit back and watch them mess things up and step in and take over. They don't even intend to, but they always end up doing it, because Aquarius is air. They can fit any container. It's the air. It's actually the water bearer. But where does water come from? It comes from condensation. And that's the air of ideas becomes the ice of knowledge, which thaws into the water of love. So water, they're the water bearer, but they're not a water sign, as some people think. They're an air sign. In fact, the fixed air sign, they're like ice. They're prismatic. The sunbeam goes through the ice, comes out a rainbow. That's Aquarius. And they can be very opportunistic. Oh my gosh. But generally for the team's benefit, not just their own ego benefit. Their opposite sign is Leo. And Cristiano has full moon in Leo within 4 hours. So that's magic. And the moon in Leo loves attention. And, so I'm sure he just loves making that goal, because he likes to do it a lot. And, but he's also one of the most marketed athletes, probably the most marketed athlete in history, and one of the most marketed celebrities in history. If he's endorsing something, everybody's going to get it. Messi, I'm not so sure that he would have that same effect. Nor would Ivan Lendl, who was a tennis pro back in my day, or Pete Rose, who actually was a pretty nice guy, a pretty likable guy, but of course he had the sports betting, arrest. But at any rate, he's likable. He's a fierce warrior. He's a good family man. He contributes to charity. I mean, what more do you want? This guy is a role model for millions of sports fans and people probably who wouldn't even be watching soccer if it weren't for him. So I can't think of a negative problem in his life at all. I think he's going to become more celebrity oriented in his future years with his moon in Leo. I think he may be going more the way of, who's a good example? Well, Donald Trump in business, but who's a good sports star who became OJ. Well, that's a different story.
Yeah, probably. That's probably not a good example. So he's going to go into acting or public, something to do in the public.
He's an actor because he's not really like mentally creative. Okay.
Right.
Tactile. And often the people that we love most are very tactile. There's, tactile, visual, auditory, and digital in NLP. Tactile is 50% of the population. They like dogs more than cats. They want to belong. They work with their hands. They know what they're doing. They seek security. And so those are the major sports fans, tactile people. They like to belong to a team. The digital is the opposite type, is the intellectual, visual and auditory. Visual is nerd, auditory is rock star, and they often connect actually. The visual nerd is an introvert, hands-on in his head, but self-reliant or mechanic. They're very popular with flamboyant emotional beauticians who are auditory type, very expressive. That's why I always wonder, why do these two get together? But the tactile person, which is like Sancho Panza and Don Quixote, they're always, taking care of the mules and the packs. Whereas the Don Quixote, the guy who's tilting at windmill, the movie director type, he lives in his head. He's a control freak. They need the tactile type. So our guy is tactile. He relates to digital types. His women tend to be more mentally oriented, I'm sure, and more emotionally expressive, although he is somewhat. But he's more down to earth. He's about delivering the goods, making the money, winning the game. And so I believe he's been mentored by very great teachers. He's very likable, a very good student. Face reading, another thing, his ears go out a little bit. And that's people who are very hands-on. He also has a hyperplasia on his supraorbital margin. OJ had that, by the way. But at any rate, people OJ was one of the greatest broken field runners who ever lived. Watching him was like poetry in motion. Of course, he had like a lower negative Cancerian King Henry VIII kind of quality, but that's another story. Anyway, the hyperplasia on the supraorbital margin, sports stars, football players almost always have that because they're tough, they're hands-on, they get the job done, they got strong bone structure, strong cheekbones. We're going to be doing another reading soon for Kylie Jenner, who almost has the same face as he does, and she has Capricorn rising too. So she's got really strong cheekbones, a smaller nose, okay? You could punch her in the nose, she wouldn't even feel it. Not that I advise you.
So let me ask you this. So if he were in front of you now, what would you say to him?
Well, first I'd ask for his autograph.
Hey, why not?
And I tell him that he's, the obvious things, that he's the greatest soccer player who ever lived, but, like he doesn't know that. And that, I really admire from his charity work. I just really admire and adulate him. I wouldn't try to teach him anything. He's not going to listen to me anyway. I mean, or any intellectual really. I mean, unless they can help him, refine his game. which is going to be pretty hard to do. I mean, they did probably work on him to make him a left foot scorer more. But he, I mean, this is an easy guy to teach, and he, I think he loves to win for his team, and they know that, and more than for himself even, although he does have Moon and Leo. I think it's both. I think it's both. He's the perfect superstar, individual, solo soccer player. He's a one-man team if he wants to be, but he's also very team-oriented. He reminds me of Michael Jordan in this respect, and Wayne Gretzky, both Aquarians, who were so similar in their style, their manners, their likability, particularly, both of them.
That's so fascinating that they're both Aquarians.
Yeah. Aquarius, they're all over the court. They're all over the playing field. They don't see boundaries. They just see opportunities. And they are mobile. I like what Wayne Gretzky says, the shots you never take will never score. And so they'll try anything, right. and they'll make it work. And they are fluid, like air that turns into water or hail. You never know what to expect of them. The tough move, the fake, they're great at fakes. And, you never know where they're coming from, and they always get around you. And he's one of the best dribblers, they say, in the history of soccer. In other words, he can do more fancy footwork with the ball than anybody else. That's why he's won, I forget, many Ballon d'Ors, gold balls, and many titles, many honors.
5 of those. He won 5 of those. And
what's that?
5 Ballon d'Ors.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Messi won 7, as I recall.
Right.
More. Messi is great, absolutely great too, but he has nowhere near the charm.
Right.
I think, really. But he is a fierce competitor, is what I pick up.
Well, they say there's no Messi without Ronaldo, no Ronaldo without Messi. So depending on who you choose, that's I guess that probably falls more into your personality, right? Your personality type and who you resonate with more. So, because there are people
that would be like a pterodactyl fighting a tyrannosaur or a stegosaurus.
Yeah.
Triceratops. Messi would be the triceratops. He's bajo, he's down, and Cristiano Ronaldo is all over the place.
Right.
He's just like floating, magic. So it's a wonderful rivalry that they have. Very watchable.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. Another amazing breakdown of what makes people who they are.
I wish he had more problems. It'd be more interesting.
Yeah.
But the man is a total paragon, a total role model. He's just a god. He's a human,
he did have one issue recently where they were having him and his wife were having twins, and one passed away. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, he has Gemini in the 5th house, which is the house of children, and it's very sad that happened. I believe he has another pair of twins. He also had sexual impropriety allegations, but I mean, almost every celebrity does. I'm not saying that they weren't valid. I think he paid off on that, but I tend to not think that it was as egregious as like a Harvey Weinstein type of situation.
Right. What do you think about Aquarius? Do you find them loyal? Do you find how are they in relationships?
Aquarius is the best friend, and they will be very loyal to their friends, but they're more loyal to the team. They have a collective consciousness. Most people are either I, me, I, you, or I, us. I, me's are like Robert De Niro, Betty Davis, very self-absorbed. It's the drama king or queen. He doesn't really care that much about other people's stuff. I, you are the born salesman or seducer, romantic, who always likes one-on-one situations, like a Jerry Maguire, the king of the living room. Okay, they love to pitch. The I, us is the corporate mentality. which relates to wanting to defend and please the team. Aquarians have the greatest corporate consciousness pretty much of anyone, but they also do their own thing. So that makes them very successful. Once again, statistically, the most successful of all signs. So he is that rare combination. He's really all three. He's a I, me, in other words, an individual solo superstar, and I, you, in other words, a charming fellow, who can really connect well with people, and an I, us, who takes care of his team. I think he's had to learn that because he could be considered a showboater maybe in his earlier years. But he is, as most Aquarians, a consummate team player.
Excellent. Another, as I said before, another great breakdown on what makes him who he is. So thank you very much. Appreciate all your work. And until next time, thank you for joining us on the show.
Hey, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please push the like button and also subscribe. If there are personalities that you'd like us to investigate and look into, please leave them down in the comments. Also, if you'd like a personal reading with Joseph, the information will be down below.